Hi guys, welcome to Salt and Light. My name's Kev and I'm building a Dudley Dix design 47-foot catamaran here in Japan. Well, it's starting to warm up now, summer's well and truly here. I really enjoy the warm weather, so I'm in a good mood. Today I've just finished off preparing the forward lockers on the bridge deck, and I got 3 coats of epoxy onto those. So I'm trying to get those all painted up so that I can finished off so that I can put the decks on so I don't have to come back and do any painting in them later on. In the last video we looked at the second part of the bridge deck, and in today's video we're going to look at the main beam that runs from one side of the boat to the other. Now this will be supporting the mast, and it's made up of 4 layers of 44mm by 22mm hardwood, and those strips are applied to both sides of the bulkhead. It's interesting, when I got the study plans back in 2019, I looked at this bulkhead and I thought, oh, you know what, that's probably going to be about the hardest part of building the boat, putting this beam in. Yeah, it didn't disappoint. It was a challenge. Probably made it a little bit more harder on myself than it had to be, but I had a reason behind that. What I wanted to do is I wanted to make this beam as strong as possible. The lengths of timber that I have are only about 4 meters long, so I had to make a scarf joint in the strips. I wanted to offset the scarf joints quite dramatically, so there'd be absolutely no weakness in this beam at all. There is an option of being able to put a joint, like a step joint, in the middle, but I wanted to go the full length of the boat with the timber strips, and so that's a decision that I made. And yes, it was more complicated to do it that way, it was more difficult to do it that way, but I'm really happy with the end result. Now, to start off with how I did it, I screwed on to the bulkhead timber blocks 88mm from the top of the bulkhead. Now this gave me something to clamp the bottom piece on, so I glued the bottom piece on first, got that attached to the bulkhead, and let that sit for a couple of days, made sure that the epoxy was well and truly set on that. And then I glued the other 3 pieces straight on top of that, and I did them all in one go. Again, it probably would have been easier to have gone one at a time, but I really wanted to get that good chemical bond between the layers, so the resin just interacting with each other. There's nothing, it was all done in one go, so it all became a solid block of timber right across the width of the boat. It was difficult filming it because it is so wide, so I've tried to stitch together all the footage that I've had, tried to tell the story of how I went about building this beam. And I hope you enjoy this video. So you can see the timber blocks that I've screwed onto the bulkhead. These will be used to clamp the timber strip into place and to create that curve towards the outside edges of the hull. What made getting these strips in so difficult was the shear clamp, and you can see in this shot the block holding the shear clamp that's attached to the bulkhead getting the strips in underneath that angle, I had to pull the timber pieces up in the middle, get them to flex to get them in underneath. I spent the morning cutting all the timber strips, and after lunch I just figured, well, I was by myself, I'm just going to go ahead, push on and glue this strip in. Just after I started mixing the resin, my good friend Ikaro turned up, which was great to have him to help. And a couple of days later, we had a few extra guys helping out, so we decided to do the aft side of the bulkhead and get that one glued in place. and this is where the fun really began. I was by myself, and I needed to get these 3 layers of hardwood strips on. So I started off by applying just straight resin to all of the surfaces, to the bulkhead, and behind me, you can't see them, but on the hull lying down were the strips, and I applied resin to all of those surfaces. And I applied thickened epoxy to the face of the bulkhead, and then I applied thickened epoxy to the mating surfaces of the hardwood strips. Now I've got all 3 strips with thickened epoxy applied to them. I start by forcing them in to one side underneath that shear clamp block, and I clamp it down, and then I come back, and you can see how much I had to flex the timbers to get it in on the other side. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have, give us a like. Also, leave a comment. I really enjoy interacting with you guys via the comments. Stay tuned, there's more coming, and we will see you in the next video.